Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the ones who thought their little games could chain a storm, who believed their disrespect was a melody you danced to forever. But oh, how the script flipped. You, my friend, didn't just walk away. You vanished like smoke slipping through their fingers, leaving behind only the ghost of their arrogance and the bitter aftertaste of their own mistakes. They thought you'd stay. Oh yes, they thought the breadcrumbs were enough to keep you seated at their table, begging for scraps of respect. But you proved them wrong. You became the one that got away, the one they can't forget, the one that keeps them up at night, staring at their ceiling, wondering how they let someone like you slip through their grasp. They underestimated you, and now they're drowning in the consequences of their own arrogance. They treated you like an option, assuming you'd always be there. But here's the twist you knew you weren't. You saw their disrespect for what it was, a reflection of their own emptiness, their own inability to appreciate something extraordinary. And so you walked away, leaving behind their chaos, their mind games, their endless cycle of taking and never giving. They didn't see it coming, did they? That moment you stopped playing their little game, when you stopped accepting their half-hearted apologies and empty promises. They thought they held the power, but you were the wild card. You flipped the table, burned the rule book, and walked out the door without looking back. Now they sit with the weight of their regret. They scroll through their memories like old photographs, searching for where it all went wrong. But the truth, my dear, is glaringly simple. They lost you the moment they failed to value you. They lost you the moment they thought disrespect could be swept under the rug. And here's the kicker, they know they'll never find another you. Oh, they'll try. They'll look for replacements, chase shadows that remind them of your life, but nothing will ever measure up. Because what you brought to the table wasn't ordinary. It was once in a lifetime. And they let it slip through their hands. They hate the silence now. It echoes louder than any argument, any fight. It reminds them of the power you held when you chose to leave. That silence is your victory, your ultimate comeback. You didn't stay to explain, to argue, to plead. You let your absence do the talking, and it spoke volumes. Oh, the irony, they thought walking away would hurt you, but it was your liberation. It was the moment you broke free from their web of manipulation, their cycle of toxicity. You didn't just leave, you reclaimed your power, your peace, your self-respect. And that, my friend, is a kind of justice they never saw coming. You see, people like that thrive on control, on the illusion of power. But you shattered that illusion. You stood tall in the face of their attempts to belittle you, to make you feel small. And in doing so, you became their greatest lesson. They'll never admit it, of course. Their pride won't allow it. But deep down they know. They know they messed up. They know they lost something extraordinary. And that knowledge will haunt them far longer than your absence ever could. Now look at you. You're not just surviving, you're thriving. You've taken the hurt they caused and turned it into fuel for your fire. You've built a life that doesn't just exist without them, it flourishes. Don't give in. You've become the person they always feared you'd be: independent, unstoppable, untouchable. And they can't stand it. Oh, they'll pretend they're fine. They'll plaster on their fake smiles, post their little updates, try to convince the world they're unbothered. But you and I both know the truth. Behind closed doors, they're unraveling. So let them pretend. Let them play their little games. Because at the end of the day, their regret is their burden to carry, not yours. You've done your part. You showed them what real love, real respect, real loyalty looked like. And when they failed to reciprocate, you walked away with your head held high. And now you're untouchable. You've become a force they can't control, a memory they can't escape. You're the one that got away. And that, my dear, is your ultimate victory. Oh, how they'll try to rewrite the story, to paint themselves as the victim, to twist the narrative to suit their fragile ego. But the truth, my dear, is a stubborn thing, isn't it? It lingers, it festers, it refuses to be silenced. And the truth is this: you were the best thing that ever happened to them, and they threw it away. But don't let their regret define you. Don't let their mistakes weigh you down. You've got better things ahead, brighter days, bigger dreams. You've got a future that doesn't just exclude them, it thrives without them. So here's to you, the one that got away. Here's to your strength, your resilience, your unshakable sense of self. You've proven that you're more than their games, more than their disrespect, more than their inability to see your worth. Ah, so they sit in their regret, my friend, staring at the walls of their own making. And let's not kid ourselves, they'd rewrite history if they could. But the ink is already dry, and the pages are stained with their misdeeds. You're beyond their grasp now. Doesn't that just eat at them? They replay the moments in their head, the ones where they could have chosen kindness, respect, love. But instead they chose ego, pride, and cruelty. Now those choices are a symphony of regret, playing in their mind loud, unrelenting. Let me tell you something, they'll never admit it. They thought you'd crawl back. Oh yes, they thought their absence would break you. They'd come running, begging for another chance. But instead you rose. You rebuilt. You became a version of your came self so magnificent that even they can't help but look on in awe. And isn't that the ultimate irony? They wanted to break you, but instead they built you. Every insult, every slight, every moment of disrespect, it all became the fuel for your transformation. They thought they were your downfall, but they were merely the beginning of your rise. Now they sit there, wrestling with the monster they created. Their regret isn't just about losing you. It's about realizing what they could have been if they'd only been good to you. But here's the thing about regret. It's a one-way street, there's no going back. And they'll act tough, they'll pretend they're unbothered. Losing you was just another chapter in their story. But you and I know better. Beneath the surface, they're drowning. Every laugh is forced, every smile is hollow. And every attempt to move on feels like a betrayal of what they lost. And here's the beauty of it. You don't owe them a thing, not your time, not your forgiveness, not even a second thought. You've done your part. You gave them chances. You showed them love, patience, understanding. And when they threw it all away, you walked away with your dignity intact. They thought they were the main character in your story. But oh, how wrong they were. You're the protagonist, the hero, the one who rises despite the odds. They're just a footnote, a lesson learned, a chapter you've already closed. But don't mistake their silence for peace. No, their silence is deafening, a cacophony of regret and self-loathing. They're haunted by your absence, by the realization that they'll never find another you. They'll try, of course. They'll search high and low. But what you brought to their life was one of a kind, and they know it. And now they hate themselves for it. They hate that they didn't see your worth when they had the chance. They hate that their own ego blinded them to the treasure standing right in front of them. But most of all, they hate that they can't go back and fix it. They'll tell themselves it's your loss, that you were the one who walked away. But deep down, they know the truth. You didn't walk away because you wanted to. You walked away because you had to. You chose yourself, your peace, your dignity. And that choice was the ultimate blow to their ego. You see, people like that thrive on control, on the idea that they're irreplaceable. But you shattered that illusion. You showed them that you're not just replaceable, you're unforgettable. And that, my dear, is a truth they'll carry with them for the rest of their lives. So let them sit in their regret. Let them feel the weight of their choices, the emptiness of their arrogance. Because while they're stuck in the past, you're out here building a future so bright, it blinds anyone who doubted you. They'll know how they'll try to come back. They'll test the waters, send a message, make a call, offer an olive branch. But don't you dare let them back in. They their choice, and now they must live with it. Your door's closed, locked, and bolted. You've outgrown them, my friend. You've risen above their games, their manipulation, their toxicity. You've become someone they can only dream of being. And that, more than anything, is what burns them. Because at the end of the day, they wanted to see you break. They wanted to see you fall apart without them. But instead you thrived. You became the very thing they feared, a force they couldn't control, a person they couldn't manipulate. And now you're untouchable. You've built a life so beautiful, so full of joy and purpose, that their absence feels like a blessing. You've turned their rejection into redirection, their disrespect into your rebirth. Let them stay stuck in their regret. Let them stew in the bitterness of their own choices. Because you're too busy living, growing, thriving to look back. And that, my friend, is the ultimate revenge. So take a bow, for this is your moment. You've proven that you're more than their games, more than their disrespect, more than their inability to see your worth. You've proven that you're unstoppable, unbreakable, and undeniably extraordinary. As they sit with their regrets, their whiffs, their could-have-beens, remember this: you owe them nothing. Not your time, not your energy, not your forgiveness. They made their choice, and now they're living with the consequences. You're free now, free from the toxicity, free from the manipulation, free from the endless cycle of taking and never giving. You're free to be who you were always meant to be.